So we have Ife with us. Ife is she's a medical student at the University of Benin, one of our bright minds at A2S. So I thought that it'd be nice to kind of talk through some stuff with Ife. So Ife, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine, thank you. Good afternoon. Should I say good morning, everyone?
Yes, it's morning over here.
Okay.
So yeah, welcome to your first A2S board meeting. You never know, you might be a board member in the future.
Possible.
But I think one of the questions I had was really to you: what does it mean to be an A2S scholar?
Okay. For me, being an A2S scholar means different things. First of all, it means being part of a community. It means having people who care, because in school, in life, everyone's just doing their own thing. You only focus on you and those people who are related to you, and that's just it. Nobody else cares about how you're doing, or if you're doing the right thing, or if you're going on the right path. All anyone wants to know is what's the end result. But being part of A2S, being an A2S scholar, means there's always someone there who is watching out and, okay, what's going on with Dorothy? Is she going to class? Does she have everything she needs to achieve all her goals this year? So there's always somebody that wants to find out what is happening with Dorothy. What does she need? What does she have? What challenges is she facing? And it's an amazing feeling, really, because no matter how tough medical school can be, no matter how disheartening it can be sometimes, it's always good to know that there's someone that you can go back and cry to and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, and can you help me? And it's nice to know that there's someone who can help you. Aside from that, being an A2S scholar means it also gives this feeling of responsibility, because personally, I know that, okay, there are a lot of people who are looking up to me. There are a lot of people who are invested in my success. There are a lot of people who want to make sure that this project that God has put in their hands, they want to make sure that it's fruitful. They want to make sure that everything I need is available, and they want to make sure that I achieve everything that I can achieve. And so it places that responsibility on me. So even in those days when I feel like, okay, this is too difficult, what do I do? Or how much more can I put in? When I remember this, it helps me. It gives me more of that zeal, more of that drive to just push a little harder, push a little more. And sometimes it's all I need to get through really difficult days. So A2S is family. A2S gives me that feeling of responsibility, and I'm very grateful for that.
Awesome. And you've just been home for 8 months. So what did it mean? What does that mean? We talk about the Nigerian educational system and these gaps. You have been home for 8 months with all the other A2S scholars. Tell us about how you guys navigated that season, especially you, the other scholars, having to go through 8 months of not knowing when you would go back to school, and how you coped during that time.
Okay, the 8-month strike. In the first place, strikes are kind of a regular theme in the Nigerian educational system, as sad as that sounds. And more often than not, they come out of nowhere. Like, you're not expecting them, and it just happens. So you're in school one day, and then the next thing is you hear that there's a strike and you have to go home. So for this one, when it started at first, it started like a warning strike. So it was just 4 weeks. And we were like, okay, it's not going to last so long. Don't worry, they'll answer them very soon, and then we can all go back to school. But then it just kept being prolonged and prolonged. And before we know it, we had spent like 2 or 3 months at home. And then that's when it became clear, like, okay, it looks like we're going to have to halt. I mean, for me, I was hoping to graduate early next year, but that's not possible anymore because of this last strike. So for many of us, it was a really tough time, because there was so much uncertainty. There was so much not knowing what to do. It's like you put your head in the game that, okay, I have this much to accomplish this year in terms of school. And then all of a sudden that plan is just placed on hold. And so for many people, it was a really difficult time, because for me in particular, at first, I had so much hope. Okay, it's going to be called off soon. And then at some point, I just got really disappointed, really sad. And it just felt like I was sad almost like every day for like a week or 2 weeks, and it wasn't good at all. But some of the things that helped us was the fact that we were always able to check on each other. We kept having soul talks, so we were always knowing like, hey, this is what's going on with this person and that person. So it made life a bit easier for us. And then the vision trip came, so we all came together as well, and so that was really helpful too. And some of us got to take in temporary jobs. Some of us did some forms of internships at labs or hospitals, depending on what our courses of study were. So that's mostly how we survived the strike. And then when it was called off, it was kind of a surprise too. So it was like, we had gotten used to this life of not being in school. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, everybody, you're going back to school. And we're like, oh, okay. And then here we are back in school. So, but we thank God. At least we can start again now.
Awesome. You just said I'm graduating next year, and something dawned on me. How old are you?
I'm 23. I spent 7 years in medical school, which should be a 6-year course for strikes.
So you got into medical school at 16?
Yes, 16.
I remember that, and I was like, oh, I can't believe if he's already graduating. Awesome. Well, I think one of the things I wanted to ask, I know that it's one thing to, come through as a young woman in Nigeria, right? And then now here you are, 23, a young Nigerian woman. You're going to graduate from medical school next year. I think you're going to be our first A2S doctor. And you had to navigate that, especially in an environment that's so culturally male dominated. How do you continue to maintain excellence when you look at probably a lot of your peers and you see that this is a culture? How do you navigate that space as a woman, understanding that, man, it's men like me who really dominate the medical field or really dominate the Nigerian culture entirely?
Okay, so to put this in perspective, let's take like a survey of my class. So in my class, the female population makes about 25%, and in general, I'm like one of the youngest in my class. So it becomes a challenge sometimes, especially when there are times when people have to speak out in class or in the department as a whole. I mean, last year I ran for Congress speaker for my department, and it was a tough battle because many people didn't want to vote for me because I'm a girl, and I'm like, that has nothing to do with what I can do or what skills or what information or what knowledge I have. But it's a constant problem, especially in Nigeria, in Africa in general, because the mentality is that men should always lead. And in the medical profession, it's the same thing there too. Men should always lead. But what I remind myself every day is it's not a battle between me and any other man. It's a battle within me, because I want to be the best that I can be. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep working hard. And that's all that's important to me. So as long as I'm the best at what I do, people will always look for me. That's one thing I believe. So if I keep doing what I'm supposed to do, if I keep working hard at everything I can be, then it doesn't matter if people think men should be more important or they should lead. As long as I'm the best, it's health. Nobody wants to be treated by a doctor who they think is second class or something like that. So as long as I'm the best at what I do, they'll always want to look for me. So it doesn't matter to me. I think that's one thing we should, as ladies, as girls, I think it's one thing that we should take into consideration, because if we keep looking at the fact that the world or Africa in general doesn't really want to take us as leaders, then it kind of drags us back, because you're looking at that and you're not focusing on all you could possibly achieve or all you could possibly do. So I think that's what's important for us, and it's what helps me. It's what drives me, basically.
Oh, awesome. Knowing you, I know that I've seen you lead basketball camps and empowerment camps. Initially when we started those programs, we're looking for doctors, and we're looking for these groups that can, be there. But the past few years, now I look around and I see our medical scholars. I see them taking care of the wounded at camp and treating injuries. And I'm like, man, that's one thing we don't have to pay for. The A2S medical team, they are actually our scholars. And that's Ify kind of leading the charge. And, I heard the other day, I'm not sure who told me, and they said, you stopped by the youth center at the sick bay to kind of volunteer and help with the kids. And, I look at the Success Bites publication and I see that you're one of the lead editors. Tell us what it means to you as you get to contribute in these ways, because you are a medical student and oftentimes everybody gets too busy. But one of the things and this is credit to you, one of the things that I've also come to realize is you've never been too busy for A2S. Tell us about that.
Okay, well, you say I've never been too busy for A2S. I feel like I could have done more, maybe if I had more time, okay, I think I should put it this way. I wish I had more time to do more for A2S because A2S has done so much for me, basically. A2S has made my life a lot more easier than it would have been without A2S. So getting involved in all these programs, it's a way for me to express that gratitude. It's also a way for me to encourage other people to know that, okay, this is something that works. This is a project that is geared towards helping young people. So we as young people should also put in as much effort as we can to make sure that this is working. With the basketball camps, serving with the medical team, I actually do enjoy that because anything that allows me to play with clinical skills actually does make me happy. So it's not much of a job. It's more like an opportunity to give back in a way that I enjoy doing. And then participating with the magazine Success Bites, it was an opportunity to put what little writing skills I have to the test. And everything we try to contribute towards with A2S is more of a challenge. And it's like, okay, what new way can I help people? What new way can I do something that matters? And that really is what is important. So I'm grateful for the opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. And what does it mean? Because I know Isaac and Bridget are your siblings and they're A2S scholars too. Tell us what it means for 3 siblings to be in the A2S scholarship program and what that means for your family.
Okay, so when I got into medical school, I think the first then my mom was happy, but then she had this friend who asked her, so how are you going to pay for medical school? Their books are really expensive and you still have like 3 other children coming afterwards. And there's like this 2-year gap between each of my siblings. So the first year it wasn't so bad, but then by the second year when I started buying the expensive textbooks, that's when my sister got into school and it was not funny at all. It was a really trying period. So after these years, I got into the A2S scholar program and then the burden lightened a bit, but it was still a heavy burden to bear. And then by the time my siblings got into the program as well, it was like a breath of fresh air for my family. I mean, my mom stays pretty close to the office here and every time she just can't help. She's like, I don't know what I've done without A2S. I don't know what I've done without A2S because really I think God just placed all 3 of us within this foundation just to make sure that these kids have to go to school and these kids have to be the best that they can be. And my parents are always grateful. In fact, when it comes to A2S, my mom is like, it's A2S, I'll be no worry. People should just go. You guys should just go because she doesn't want to get that there's anything that stops us from being available to A2S because as far as she's concerned, A2S is like our second family away from home, something like that. So.
And I have 2 questions before we let you go. I know that you guys have been mentored by two doctors here in the US, Jamie and Tim. What has that meant for you? For those of you who don't know, like Jamie and Tim. So Jamie works at St. Jude's and Tim, her husband as well. And they spend some good time with our scholars, and I know that they really enjoyed getting to know Ify and some of our other scholars. So tell us about just having that level of access and what that interaction means to you.
Okay, so first off, it's a really good opportunity. It's one I'm really grateful for because you don't always get to interact with doctors outside of our locality or outside of our space, basically. And so having this opportunity to understand that many of the challenges we face here are not necessarily restricted to just Nigeria alone, but many of those challenges we face in medical school, they are also common to those of them over there or in the US. And it kind of gives us this encouragement, like, because we know that, okay, this isn't just because we are in a developing country, or this isn't just because we are in a country where resources are less available or something like that. It makes us understand that these are universal challenges. And since it's something that applies to all, then it's something we can conquer. It's something that we can rise above because they're rising above it as well. So that helps. And the fact that we've had these meetings, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to interact with these doctors, because they take out so much time to be there for us, and they answer all our questions, really. I've learned so much more from them about research than I've had the opportunity to even learn in school, because we just started learning about research here in school in my 5th year. So I've had more, they've answered more questions for me than I've been able to ask some of my teachers here. And it's kind of made the process a lot more easier for me, even with preparing for my final year project here. And then even the possibility of being able to carry out an independent research with them too, that's a really good opportunity that I would not want to pass up at any moment in time. So we're learning a lot, and we're getting to see that there is more than what we're just doing within the 4 walls of school, within the 4 walls of the university. So there's a lot more. Research can be fun, research can be interesting, because they make it interesting, and I'm getting more interested. At the beginning, I wasn't so keen on research. At first, I thought, I'm just going to be a clinician. I'm just going to go to the ward, see my patients, and come back. But now they make research seem enticing. So it's like, okay, I want to see more. I want to know more about this. I want to see where I can fit into this research space. So that has been really helpful for us.
That's awesome. Medical degree, what do you hope your story will be, and how do you hope that it will inspire other young ladies? And looks like the lights just went out. Welcome to
yes. Oh, it's back on. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My medical degree. Well, first off, I haven't exactly decided where I want to. Oh, the light is off again. Sorry. I haven't exactly decided where I want to specialize yet, because I believe that it's important I get a feel of all the specialties as much as I can and understand clearly what each entails. I have affinities as of now. I have affinities with surgery. I have affinities with pediatrics, cardiology. So those are spaces that I feel very comfortable in, but I haven't exactly made that choice. But I do know I'm going to practice. I do know I'm going to go into clinical medicine and all that. What do I hope people learn from my story? I hope young ladies, I hope young girls, I hope people in general learn that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter the story surrounding your entry into school, into the university. It doesn't matter what the situation looks like now. I believe that my entire journey from the very beginning up until now has been designed and arranged by God, because if I was left to my own devices, I don't think I'd make it up to this point. He's just always made sure that there have been people to help me at every point in time when I need help. So I want people to understand that as long as God is working with you and for you, there is nothing that is impossible to achieve. The full meaning of my name, Ife, is actually Ifa Kachuku, and it means there is nothing too difficult for God to do. And it really has been evident in my life, because there really is nothing too difficult for him to do. So that's what I want people to take home from. Like, trust God, trust him, and he'll do the rest, really. He'll make sure that you have everything that you need, and you'll be a living testimony of his glory. So that's what I want people to take from my story, basically.
Amen. Amen. 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll let Team Nigeria go. Or comments.
It's a lovely testimony. I should maybe know this, but is she in a dorm, or if you're in a dorm, or do you rent an apartment close to the university?
Yes, I do stay in a dormitory. There's a separate hostel for medical students, clinical students to be specific. So that's where I stay.
Okay, great. Do you have roommates?
Yeah, I have one roommate. We stay two in a room.
Okay.
If you're an inspiration, it's an important thing to be a role model for people, but it also can be a heavy burden. So if that becomes a burden, talk about it with others. But keep keeping up the great work. Thank you so much for being a leader amongst peers and an inspiration for kids as they come up.
Thank you very much, sir.
I was just going to say thank you so much for sharing your story, and I appreciated you explaining how the strikes work, because that's not something that I understood. So it just helped give us a better insight to kind of really understanding what's going on. And so thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for all that you're doing. It's amazing and encouraging even for us to hear that, to work harder and to do more to serve in our community too. So just thank you for all that you're doing, and we wish you the best of luck. And we know that you'll do wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Team Nigeria. Ify, always proud of you, and thanks for being the leader that you are. So it's, I think Andrew said it best, being a leader among your peers, and I that's one thing that I've been very impressed with. I do think that a lot of the scholars look up to you, and I know that your siblings are very blessed to have a big sister like you too. So awesome. Well, I hope you have are you staying home tonight to hang out with mom?
Yes, I will.
Awesome. All right, well, enjoy time with family before you go back to school. And thanks for being here. Sister Faustina, Sister Tekla, we are super grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.